So first of all, thank you for coming by. Thank you for coming to this webinar. So this is going to be a webinar. It's going to be the first of a number of webinars that I do. This particular webinar is called 5 Steps to Make More Money in the Next 3 Months than you made in the previous 6 months. All right. So we're going to go over 5 steps to make more money in the next 3 months than you made in the last 6 months. So now, because this is a Kingdom Entrepreneur course, the first thing I'm going to start with is the Kingdom part. For that comes first. So before we get started, I want to give you a word for this webinar that I received this morning when I was in prayer. All right. So now most of you know the story of the children of Israel when they left Egypt. Because of a lot of things that they did, they ended up wandering in the wilderness for 40 years. They were actually going around this one particular mountain over and over. The mountain was called Mount Seir. So when I woke up, what I had in my spirit was a scripture from Deuteronomy chapter 2, verse 2. And the scripture said, "And the Lord spoke to me saying," and this is Moses talking, and he says, "And the Lord spoke to me saying, you have skirted this mountain long enough. Turn northward." So I finished praying and I'm trying to figure out, well, what does this have to do with what I'm going to be doing today? And as I was studying through it, I came across another scripture, and that scripture is Psalms, Psalms 75:6. And that scripture said, "For promotion comes neither from the east nor the west, nor comes from the south." Now, if it doesn't come from the east and it doesn't come from the west and it doesn't come from the south, that means there's only one direction left, and that's the north. So when I put those together, what I understood is that because of this information that you're going to get, because you took the time to go ahead and tune into this webinar, you're going to get promotion. It is time for you to stop going around the same mountain that you've been going through, right? Trying to, you've been moving, but you've been moving in circles, right? Doing the same things, but seeing little results. Making progress, but seeing little advancement. Well, it's time for you to stop going through those. It's time to go northward. It's time to go for your promotion. So I'm going to speak that word to you, that this webinar is for your promotion and the things that you already have to do. Okay. So now, if you have a business or a side hustle, it doesn't matter if you have an offer out there and you're currently trying to sell, this webinar is for you. Now, there will be other webinars for people who need business ideas, people who want to know what type of skill they have and want to know what type of products they should be selling or what type of services they should be offering. There will be webinars for that. But for this one, this is for people who have a product, or you have a side hustle, or you have some type of offer, whether that offer be an ad, it be a website, whether it be a social media post, whether it be a flyer, whether it's word of mouth, anything that you are doing to try to make money. These are 5 things that is going to help you make more money going forward than you've been making if you look at your immediate past. Okay, so let's go through it and let's get into it. So the first rule is going to be value over money, right? Let me put this up for you. It's going to be value over money. And we're looking at intrinsic value versus perceived value. All right, so let's talk about this for a second. The formula is important because if you create value, the money will come. See, a lot of times we make the mistake by focusing on the money instead of focusing on the value that we're providing for our potential customers and for our potential clients, right? And that's a big mistake. So think about your spending habits. When you go out to buy something, what are you looking for? You're looking to spend your money on something that has a value to you, something that you perceive has a value, is going to help your life, is going to give you a benefit, is going to help you in some way, right? It has to have value to you. Where we run into problems is that we're trying to sell the wrong type of value, right? We're trying to sell intrinsic value when what we should be selling is perceived value. So let's talk about what the difference is, and you'll be able to see this in your ad or in your offer if you're making this mistake. So now intrinsic value is calculated value. It's what's valuable to me about my offer, right? And what's valuable to me about my offer is my skill. See, I have a lot of skill in certain things, right? We have a lot of skill in what we do. So for example, there was a number of years ago, I was trying to sell courses on entrepreneurship. Now, I am an entrepreneur, been a serial entrepreneur for over 20 years, right? So I've seen successes, I've seen failures, I've seen all of that stuff. So when I was trying to do these classes, what I was expressing or what I was trying to communicate to people is you need to take my entrepreneur class because I've set up businesses and I've failed and I know what things causes you to fail. I set up businesses and I've succeeded and I know what things you need to do to succeed. I've put so many years in learning my craft. I've taken class by class by class to be able, to be able to be able to tell you and communicate with you how you should do this. All of these things I paid money to learn these skill sets. All of these things I was trying to communicate to my clients or my potential clients to tell them why they should take my classes instead of someone else's classes on how to become an entrepreneur. And although it was true, although these things were true, and I did spend the time and I did create businesses and I have seen failures and successes and I spent money, all of that is true. And to me, that is value that I put in. However, that is intrinsic value. That is what I see as value. The problem was they didn't care about that. The people that I was advertising to or trying to market to take my classes, they didn't care how many years it took me to learn certain concepts. They didn't care how many classes I took. They didn't care how many thousands of dollars and tens of thousands of dollars I failed at before I started making. They didn't care about any of that. What they cared about is, if I take your class, am I going to have more money? If I take your class, am I going to be able to build a business and make money and have some income by next month? If I take your class, is it going to tell me how to turn what I'm doing now that's not working into what will work? And is it going to happen in a week? They had a whole different set of value. See, and that is the perceived value, right? So the perceived value is the customer's perception of what the product is, what the product costs, how well it meets their needs, and how well it meets their expectation. So the first thing we have to understand is we have to make a difference between intrinsic value and perceived value. If you want people to be able to start accepting your offer, if you want people to be able to accept your offer right now, what are you focusing on? Are you focusing on the benefit that they're going to get? Are you focusing on how getting your umbrella, how purchasing your sneakers, how purchasing your book, how purchasing your class? Are you focusing on how any of those things is going to improve their life, increase the money that they're making, increase their peace in their life, how it's going to turn out for them? Because if you're not showing them how it's going to benefit them, then they're not going to purchase your product. So that's the first thing. First lesson is find the value. Don't go for money, because people know when you're trying to get money out of their pocket, and they're not going for that, especially not today. What they want to know is that if I give you this money, is it going to benefit me? And that's what you have to speak to. You have to speak to pain points. If you know that I have this particular comb, but every time I comb my hair, it scratches my scalp, and you want to sell me a comb, don't tell me how well your comb is made. Don't tell me that you sourced the plastic from the Afghan mountains and it's from the goat hairs. And I don't want to hear all that. What I want to hear is I can run this comb through my hair and it's going to be smooth and not irritate my scalp like many of the other combs out there. That's how you begin to show your offer through the customer's perception and give them a perceived value instead of your intrinsic. All right, that's number one. I hope you got that one. Okay, so let's look at number two. The second thing is, don't look for people to sell your product to. Look for people who already want what you're selling. That is a whole different thing, right? See, a lot of times we get caught up is because we have a product, we have a great product, and we may know that our product is going to be perfect for our friends, for our Facebook friends, for our families, for our coworkers, for our peers. We may know that this is exactly what would be good for them. So we go and we try to sell our wares to them. Hey, I got this perfect comb, or hey, I have this perfect course, and this would be perfect for you, right? But they're not in the market for that. They're not looking for a comb. They're not looking for a course to make their life better. They're trying to get by with whatever they're doing. So what holds us up a lot of times is we're trying to sell to people instead of finding the people who already want what we're selling. I'll give you a perfect example. I know a number of people who are started up travel agencies, right? They started up their travel agencies, wonderful thing, wonderful business to start. But what they did is when they started it, they started advertising to their families and their friends. They started advertising to their coworkers. They started advertising to all of these people who were in their immediate circumference. And they were wondering, well, why isn't anyone buying it? Why isn't anyone using me to book their travel itineraries? Well, the problem was the people that they were advertising to were not people that were going on vacation. They weren't looking for vacation. They weren't looking to do this travel. They weren't looking to go on cruises. They weren't looking to travel outside the country. So when you're trying to find people to sell to, you're looking at people who you're trying to sell to, and you're trying to convert them into a customer when that's not what they want at all. However, there are 8.2 billion people on this planet Earth. As a matter of fact, there's over 300 million people in the United States alone. There are millions of people out there who already want to go on a vacation, who are already looking to do traveling, who are ready to pay to go on a vacation to take a break from their regular life. They want what you're selling, and they would pay for your services if they knew that you existed. Those are your customers. Those are the ones that you have to let know that you exist, right? So we have to stop trying to sell to people and start finding people who want what we're trying to sell. So that means that right off the bat, you have to go and find out who is your customer base, right? Who is your customer base? As a matter of fact, let me show you something. I'm going to share my screen real quick. I want to show you this because I think this will be beneficial. We'll give it a good example. Okay. And here it is. Now, this is something that I found online. This is a company called Passati. They've been around since 1956. They've been doing what they do since 1956. So now this particular product that I found that they sell is called a red rose umbrella. It's double cloth, so it's double thick. It has a manual opening, so you use it just like you would know. You press the button and pull it open. It's 100% polyester, which means that polyester is a great material for an umbrella because it's waterproof, it's durable. You'll be able to keep this for a while. It has a jeweled brass handle. So look at that. You see this handle right here? It is jeweled. It is brass. It is beautiful. No doubt, it is beautiful. When it's closed, it has everything that is lovely. It even shows you the lifestyle, someone using the umbrella. And doesn't that look lovely? I mean, just the picture looks lovely. The person tells you what type of client that they have, what type of person usually buys it. So now this umbrella, it's a lovely umbrella. This umbrella costs 235 euros. Now, if you equate that to US dollars, that would be about $265. All right. So right now we have an umbrella that we're looking at that costs $265. Would you buy that umbrella? Would you buy it? Okay. Is this something that you think you would buy? Not really, right? Most people that I know would say, no way I'm paying $265 for an umbrella when I can get a big, huge umbrella right here at the shop and save for $10. Here's the thing. If you were selling this umbrella, you wouldn't be selling it to the people that you know. Because the people that you know are not looking for a $265 umbrella. But this company has been in business since 1956. So that means there are people out there to which that umbrella at $265 US, 235 euros, that is the perfect umbrella for them. And they would buy that. They would pay for that, right? So what Passati does is they don't look to sell to people. What they're looking for is the people who are looking to buy what they have to sell. They even show you a picture of a lifestyle picture of a young lady with the umbrella, how she is dressed impeccably with nice clothes, with Italian jacket with the nice shades on the beach. They show you that picture because they're trying to show you a lifestyle. And what they're saying is if you aspire to this lifestyle, this is the umbrella you've been looking for. And for all of the people who have aspired to that lifestyle, that is the umbrella that they purchase, right? So the point is, you don't look for people to sell to. What you do is you sell to the people that are already looking for the product that you have or the service that you have. And there are millions of them out there. And if we can change that perspective, then that'll get us more sales right there, because that means I'll stop putting my $400 sneakers on a billboard in Food Lion, because nobody in Food Lion is paying that, right? So that's going to give us an idea of who our targeted audience is, right? And that's important to us. So far, so good? Okay, so let's go into number 3. The third step that we need to do and we need to remember is prove that you can help people by helping people. It's just that simple. Prove you can help people by helping people. There's a saying that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? I'll give you a perfect example, and then we'll talk about the concept a little bit more. I used to be in Toastmasters. And after I did a competition, World Championship of Public Speaking, I made it to the top 10 in the world, top 10 speakers in the world. And I came back to Virginia and I started doing conferences. I would go to these conferences and I would speak. And for the first number of conferences, every time I went there, I was trying, while I was on stage and I'm speaking, I had a number of books, or I have a number of books that I've written. And I would always have a table in the back of the room so that when you finish hearing me speak throughout the evening, you can go to my table and hopefully buy my books. And my books, some of them had some fiction books, but most of them were nonfiction, self-help type books. And I wanted people to buy my books. But I would do these conferences, and every time I finish, I might sell, $100 in books, $80 in books. And it wasn't very much. But when I was on stage, I kept trying. I was advertising my books. I was telling them my books were back there. I was telling them, hey, this book is about speaking. It's going to help you learn to speak well. Hey, this book is about making movies. It's going to show you how to turn your ideas into movies. I had a whole bunch of different books. This one is on entrepreneurship. It's going to tell you how to set up a business. So here's the point. So I used to do that, and I would notice that I wouldn't get much sales. So one day I did something different. I went up on stage and I started giving away information. I'm just telling everything that was in my book back there about entrepreneurship and about moving. I just started giving them information. I started showing them how I did what I did. I started giving them pointers. I just started giving them information that you can't really find on the internet without paying for it, particularly, but hard to find anyway. I didn't try to sell my books. I didn't mention my books. I didn't tell anybody I had a table in the back. But I just started giving them information, giving them valuable information. Well, what I found out is at the end of that night, I made more money selling books than I had made in all of those conferences put together. I think within the first 15 minutes, we sold almost $500 worth of books in 15 minutes. In 15 minutes. The difference was I stopped trying to tell people. What I did is I proved that what I had was able to help them by helping them, by using the information that I had to actually give them value and help them along in the area, especially in the areas that I knew that there was a lack of information. And because I did that, that made them want to go back and get what I had, get the rest of the information. I'll give you another clue. I'll give you another example. So I have an entrepreneur board game that I sell. So I went to the Heave, and this was just this year. I went to the Heave convention, which is a homeschool convention, second largest in the U.S. So right here in Richmond, Virginia, this is where you get thousands of people from all the different states to come in and get their curriculums and their books and all of the things they're going to use to teach their homeschool class, their children during the homeschool year. So I'm sitting there behind my desk, and there's these two young ladies, two young ladies that's walking past. They're students, homeschool students, obviously, and they see I have entrepreneurship stuff on my table. So they come over and they talk to me for a few minutes, and we're having a nice conversation. So the young girl says, "I I am a baker, and I have a business where I bake goods." Right, so she's telling me about her baked goods. Now, her sister or whoever the young lady was with her, she's there and she's pumping it up. She's like, yes, they're delicious. She's the best bake I've ever seen, or whatever the case may be. And she's telling me all this, and I'm nice and I'm interested. I'm like, yeah, that's wonderful. I love seeing people do entrepreneurial endeavors. So she told me about it, and I and I said, well, that's great. If you set up a table, maybe you'll set up a table somewhere and you'll actually have some cookies and you'll give them cookies and people will taste it. That might help you along a little bit. Now, I gave her some information, but I didn't offer to buy any of her cookies, right? She told me about the cookies. It was nice. I heard, but I didn't really consider that an offer. What she did is she went back to the hotel. What I found out is they were staying in the RV. RV was parked across the street. So she went back to the RV that night and she baked a batch of cookies. And the next day, she came back to my table and she had a bag with about 3 or 4 cookies. Now, my spirit said it was okay. I prayed over it and I tried her cookies. The cookies were delicious. I contacted her to find out how I could buy some of her cookies and some of her baked goods. The point is, what she did is she proved that she could help me by helping me. She proved that she had something that I would want by giving me something that I wanted, right? So I love the cookies, or whatever the case may be. So the idea is you have to show people. You have to show people that what you have is beneficial to them. What that means is, yeah, sometimes you're going to have to spend a little in marketing, right? So are you a caterer? Well, if you're going to tell people that I am a caterer and I make great dishes, you might have to show them. You might have to invite a couple of people over who have the purchasing power to purchase for their organizations or something, or who do events, and come over and let them come over and taste some of your goods. Are you a counselor? Well, you might have to do a mastermind or webinar counseling session so people can see it, so people can hear it, so that people know that you actually know how to do what you're saying what you're saying you can do, right? See, for you, it's going to cost you marketing, which is deductible anyway. But what the real issue is, if you help people, if you show people what you're able to do, that's going to cause them to want to order or to get your services, right? You have to prove to them that you know how to do what it is you know how to do. Well, exactly. For example, at some point, I'm going to start putting out entrepreneur classes. I can put out entrepreneur classes all day, but if you don't know that I know what I'm talking about, if I don't ever give you information that you find practical and that you can use to benefit your business, why would you even care about the classes that I put out that I say I can do what I can do? The only way you'll know is if I actually do it. If I actually prove to you by being beneficial in your life, providing value in your life, then you'll say, you know what? This person provided value. I'm going to go back and I'm going to get some more of his products or services. As a matter of fact, I know somebody else who's looking for this information or looking for this product. Let me tell them about it because I know what I'm talking about, right? So that's the third thing. We have to prove that you can help people by actually helping people. All right. I hope this is good for you so far. We have two more things. And remember, the people that are in the live, I'm going to answer some questions for you. So next one. And this one is really important because now we got to talk about the money, right? We have to talk about the money. Please price it right. Don't be afraid to ask for the money that you need, right? Remember, I just showed you a picture of an umbrella. Everybody doesn't need a $265 umbrella. But for the people that you are trying to sell to, the people who are going for lifestyle, the people who are looking for something that the average person doesn't have, who are looking for something that physically shows that they're at another level. that they're operating at enough. For someone who wants something beautiful like a jeweled handlebar, those people are going to buy that. Why? Number one, because it's priced right. If you price yourself, and I had to learn this, oh my goodness, I had to learn this. I had to learn this, learn this, learn this. And my wife would always say, why are you pricing your stuff so low? Why is it so low? See, that's part of the perceived value. If you price your stuff low, then that means you are advertising or you're marketing to people who only spend that amount of money, or to who that amount of money will be valuable. Well, let's say, I'll give you a perfect example. So I told you I had an entrepreneur board game. A board game is to teach kids how to become an entrepreneur, how to grow their business, start a business, what entrepreneurs do, all of that. It's a STEM accredited board game, the only one of its kind, the only one in the world that teaches entrepreneurship is STEM accredited. So when it first came out, I was looking at cash flow. It's not the same type of game, but it's in that same genre. Cash flow was charging $101 for their game. So I said, okay, well, for my game, I'm going to charge. First, I charged $69.99. Wasn't really selling at that price. So I said, okay, my market is not $69.99. So I started charging $49.99. It started selling. The game started selling. I was getting accolades. I was winning awards. People were watching it. $49.99. It was selling. So what I did is I said, okay, if I'm selling this number of games at $49.99, what would happen if I lowered the price to $39.99? If that's the case, since it would be less, I should sell more. You would think, right? Or actually, I went to $29.99. So I was selling it for almost half. And you would think if that's the case, twice as many people would buy the game because I made it accessible to more people. The problem was when I sold it at $29.99, I hardly sold any games. Nobody was buying the games, although I made it more accessible because I'm listening to people, and people were like, the game is so expensive. That's $50 a game. The game is so expensive. And I had the reasons why, but they said the game is so expensive. If it was, you should make it for regular people not spending $50. They'll spend $30 for a game. So if you made it $30 for a game, everybody will buy it. And I fell for that. So that is incorrect because I put it down at $29.99. Hardly anybody was buying it. Why? Because the value. Because if this was a game that really was going to be able to change my child's life, was really going to be able to teach them how to become an entrepreneur and show them how to become an entrepreneur, if it's going to help them in communication and marketing and branding and negotiation and all of these different things that I advertised that it would do, why is it so cheap? Why is it so inexpensive? I would expect to have to pay more for that. So what I did is, after a while, I put it back to $49.99. It started selling again. And it still sells. My point is, you have to price according to the value. If you're selling something that you believe has value, don't be afraid to price it at the value, because the people who say that it's too expensive, those are not your customers. The people who say that $268.65 umbrella is too expensive for an umbrella, those are not their customers. Their customers look at that and say, you know what? I will pay the $265 because to me that has value. Your customers are the ones that says, you know what, I will pay $50 for a STEM accredited entrepreneur board game because I perceive that has value. That's going to do something that's going to help my child. So we got to make sure that we get this pricing right? We want to price it low because we think that just because we price it low, it's going to attract a lot of people, not understanding that your valuation of pricing it low is just making people think it's not worth it. And then the people who would pay, they're going to say no. Everybody else is charging $1,500 for this course. Why is your course $39.99? And you're telling me you're giving me all this value? I don't believe it. I would pay the $15.99 because that one seems like it's got to have value because it has a price tag. And they're telling me in the offer, they're giving me the perceived value. They're not telling me everything that they're putting inside of it and doing that's going to make it so valuable. They're telling me what it's going to do for me. So at this point, I don't even care about the $1,500. If I'm going to live a better life, if it's going to cause me to have more money, if it's going to cause me to have to work less time at this job that I don't like anyway, and it's going to change my life and my family's life and my future generations, I'll pay the $15.99. That's what we have to do about your product. Stop being scared to put a price tag on your product. Charge for your product. And remember, you're not looking for people to sell. You're selling to people who are already looking for what you have. All right? I hope you got that. And number 5, let's go through number 5. Number 5 is make the offer. Make the offer. Stop explaining yourself and ask them to buy. Stop giving them reasons and ask them to buy. If they say no, don't beat them over the head. Don't nag them. What you do is you ask them why, you get their objection, and then you use that objection to make a better offer, right? This is a learning process. Use what you learn to grow so that you can handle the objection in your offer. So if you say, if I want to buy I want to buy a car, and you tell me that the car is $50,000, and I say, you know what, I'm not, I'm that's too much. And you say, well, do you want this car? It's $50,000. Will you buy it? And they say, well, no, I'm not going to buy it because if I spend $50,000, I need my car to do this, this, and this. Okay, you made the offer. They didn't accept the offer, which is okay. That wasn't your client. Somebody else is your client. But while you're there, ask them why. They tell you why. And now you can go back in. Now you can go back in and you can revise that offer to either include what it is that they need. So if they say they needed cup holders and you actually have cup holders, or you have a different type, explain this car comes with these type of cup holders and this is why. This is how it's going to benefit you. Either do that, or don't worry about it and change your offer to someone else, make it valuable to them so that who's not concerned about the cup holders. I hope this makes sense. We make an offer on the sale. You ask for the money. Every time you're talking about it, ask for the money. We leave it up in the air. We just say, okay, well, if you want it, then get back to us. Ask for the money. The worst thing they can say is no. And then you can ask them why. And if they're willing, they'll tell you why. And now you have the choice. Do I cover this in my offer? Or do I show a different side of value that people won't even be considering that? All right. So a persistent or reoccurring problem with a product or service that frequently inconvenience or annoys customers. This is a pain point. And what you're looking for when you ask them questions are pain points. A persistent or reoccurring problem, like with a product or a service that frequently inconveniences or annoys the customer. Remember that comb I was talking about? I like the comb, but it irritates my scalp every time I use it. That is a problem. So if you went to solve the problem, you would create the comb that doesn't irritate my scalp. And then you would tell me in your offer that I have a comb that you can use as often as you want. That's going to make your hair beautiful and soft and untangle your hair, and it will not irritate your scalp. And then you don't ask the people around you. You look for the people who have hair. So it wouldn't be me, but you look for the people who have hair, who have that problem, who are looking for a comb that they will be able to use that won't irritate their scalp. And then you make them an offer, and then you ask them for the money. The comb costs $150, but it's not going to irritate your scalp. It's going to have these benefits, and you ask for the money. And that's how you take your offers that you currently have and you start making more money on it. Don't be scared for those things. All right. Don't be scared for those things at all, because this is what we need to do in order to increase our income with the products that we already have. Okay. I hope you've gotten these. I hope you've gotten these notes. Now, on the Facebook page, I'm going to cut this off. And if you want to see the replay, I want you to go to go to my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Blueprint for Prosperity, right? Blueprint for Prosperity, just like on the screen. Go to my Facebook page. You'll be able to find the replay of this. Put some questions in the comments. I'll answer questions. So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut this part off and I'm going to go to the studio audience, everyone that's inside the live. And if you have any questions, go ahead and prepare your questions and I'll be right back to answer your questions. You guys have a wonderful day. I hope this has been beneficial to you and it's going to help change your offer so that you can see more money on the products that you are serving and the services that you are offering. Have a wonderful day.